You're here, which means that you've found Spirit Crumbs, leading you to your inner light worker. I will be sharing how these tiny little hints from the universe have led me to where I am today. I hope that by hearing my story and the stories of others, you'll pick up your own spirit crumbs along the way that will lead you to somewhere magical. Thanks for coming along for the journey. Let's see where it takes us.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Spirit Crumbs. I'm your host, Andrea McCallum, and I am an artist and a healing energy facilitator. This week, we are doing our Cancer season tarot hints forecast. I'm really looking forward to this one because I have been feeling the energy of the solstice coming up. We just had our Sagittarius full moon. And I just feel this energy shifting because I was feeling it a little bit more like the energy of clearing when the first few days after the full moon happened. I feel like I had a bit of a pause. I don't know if you experienced that as well, where it wasn't so much forward movement. It was more those last few things that needed to be cleared out first. And now I'm really feeling the energy picking up again. So I'm really hoping that this forecast resonates with you. As usual, I pulled three cards from the Light Seers Tarot. And this is a deck that I've talked about a couple of times, but I just really appreciate it because I feel like the interpretations for the tarot in this deck are just more resonant with how I feel about the energies of them and how our lives are now. There's definitely power behind the original interpretations and some of the more traditional decks, and I still refer to those as well. But there's just something about the energy of this one that I feel is very empowering as well. It is offering the shadow interpretations as well, but in a way where you feel like you can harness that energy still. And it's still something that moves you forward instead of being as frightening as it sometimes comes across in the original decks. And so the first card that we're starting off with this season is the Four of Wands. And this is a beautiful energy to be starting with. We had this like clearing away and wrapping up energy. This is now a time for celebration. This is a time to connect with your community. Maybe there's a milestone. This often represents like weddings. I personally just yesterday received an award from last year and had my parents here to celebrate. We're celebrating Father's Day as a family with a virtual meeting tonight since we all can't be together. We've done this hard work and we've really started to integrate some of the lessons. We're integrating our accomplishments as well. This like combination of light and shadow and feeling a little bit more whole in ourselves. And we're ready to put ourselves out there and to really be seen for this work that we've been doing for the last while. The four being foundation, how all of this hard work that you've done to this point has actually created a foundation for yourself. And it's time where you can actually kick back a little bit. You might have been going through a rapid expansion of like consciousness over the last while. And you're actually integrating that as well. And for me, that feels pretty accurate because I also have been receiving a lot of downloads and really seeing myself differently in the last few weeks and starting to actually move forward on some things. I feel more prepared and more aware of what I need to move forward. And that's kind of what leads into the next card, which is the
Knight of Swords.
this card has this movement energy, like the chariot for some reason, just very similar energy. It's this like fast pace, let's just move forward, let's get to the destination. And I think that's how we can feel once we've actually also connected with people again and shared our success and shared the prosperity that comes along with the Four of Wands. And it gives you just that little bit more freedom and trust in yourself. That's really important. And I think that's kind of leading into this card.
The Knight of Swords.
Talks about how you're just like dead set. It's a picture of a man running. And in fact, he's running towards a motorcycle. So it's like he's like on foot gaining momentum. And then he's going to get on that motorcycle and he's just going to ride out into the sunset. Right here, this like running part is when you're still just like making sure you've got everything with you and being sure of where you're going to go. That's the energy that I feel with this. It's very similar to the chariot, making sure that all of this energy you're putting into something and the movement is going towards where you actually want to be going. And so taking some of the clarity that you received from any insights and things from the last cycle in Gemini season, when we had the Mercury retrograde, we had all of this time to really reflect and think and figure out what was next for us. And then with this energy of celebration leading into it, I think it's important to just keep in mind what you learned and decide if that changes your direction a little bit because maybe you're still going to the same place, but maybe it's just taking a different route or there's something you want to do before you get to that place. Sometimes we just want to be at the end point, like we want to be making a certain amount of money, having a certain amount of clients, doing the big thing. And we do want to do that. But we also have to keep in mind okay, if I got that right now, would I have the structures in place to manage that? Would people have a good experience coming into a container with me right now? Am I organized enough to feel that I can just flow with it once I'm in that space? And just keeping in mind that, like, well, you're still running. It's still movement when you're on foot and you're running. But like before you get on that motorcycle and you're going from point A to point B, just make sure that you're having all the tools with you, right? We talked about the backpack last week and having the time to repack and decide what we're bringing forward with us for this next adventure. In the image, he has a bow and arrow on his back.
It also feels like Sagittarius energy, right? Which is also travel and learning and your higher self. And this definitely correlates to the full moon that we just had in Sagittarius, that energy that's moving us forward. This is like energy that's coming with you. And I think that's where the energy comes together with the backpack analogy.
Okay, if I'm going on this adventure, now I know where I'm going. That's half the battle is knowing where you're going to know what to pack. Like if you're going to someone's place to stay for a week, you're going to want to know, are we going to anything formal? Do I need hiking boots? Do I need, a jacket? Do I need to bring supplies for anything? And I think before we get too excited and start fully getting on that motorcycle, just making sure we have that one last check. And then the last card that we have, the third card, is the Empress, the three. And this is a beautiful energy to be going from Cancer season into Leo because it's this beautiful energy of birthing our creations, making them tangible, bringing them into reality, right? Bringing them through the earth, like making them a material thing. And this just goes to show that when you have the integration and the clarity that you received in the last cycle in Gemini, that is how you ground something into reality. When you have clarity, you have the momentum, you have the energy, you're feeling the support of the community. That's how things actually come into being. And I think thinking of the community in the larger sense, like anyone who is your audience, the people that you want to be working with, people that maybe you want to collaborate with, all of those people, if you're sharing with them, that might be what gives you the clarity and the power to move forward and be like, all right, now we know what we're doing. Let's hop on this motorcycle together. Who's coming with me? That kind of energy. And then that way, when we're showing up in Leo season, when we want to be seen, we have more confidence, we're really trusting ourselves more, then taking this thing that we've created and putting it out into the world is going to feel so much stronger because we have all of these layers of understanding ourselves, understanding what we want to do. With this Empress energy, I'm feeling a lot of service as well. Like we have this intention behind what we want to do. And that may have been what you received in Gemini season. Like it could be that the specific area of support that you want to offer is what you received. There's also a lot of empathy and unconditional love with this, understanding that everyone is on this path in their own way, and that some people are going to need your support in the next cycle too. So I just want to leave this on the last really positive part of this card, which is abundance in all forms. It's the community, it's love, it's money, the actual material things that you are working towards. I think trust is coming in with this as well. This momentum has brought us to this particular point, and even if we have all of our intentions in our backpacks, if something unexpected happens and moves us in a slightly different direction, we're still going to receive the gifts that we are meant to, right? We're still going to have abundance. It might just show up in a slightly different way. You need to be just trusting and getting on the motorcycle. And once you're on the road, there might be a detour, but that might be what brings you to the right place at the right time. That could be where you meet the right person or you find the people that have been looking for what you have to offer. And sometimes that can be the biggest gift of all. So, keeping in mind with the three, I also usually see this as creative energy. So, if there's something creative that you've been working towards, give yourself the space. Now, this all sounds very vague to me. And I tend to like more tangible things, as we know. I like the spirit crumbs. And what's coming up to mind for me, I was watching Frasier, as one does, and there was an episode where it was Christmas time, and Frasier didn't know what his son wanted and thought that he wanted all of these learning toys because of he is who he is. But his dad knew that he would want this amazing like robot toy. So by the time Frasier goes to get it, he can't get the robot toy, even though then he finds out that that's what his son really wants. Meanwhile, the father had gone out at some point and gotten it and gives it to Frasier to give to him. And when Frasier opens it, he's like, "Are the batteries included?" And then Martin's like, "Yeah, they're in the box." The phrase batteries not included just got stuck in my head, even though they didn't say that. So I jotted it down.
I got something in the mail that I was expecting. I was waiting on a blood pressure monitor and I needed to use it the next day. I opened it and realized that it's a good thing I opened it in that evening because it didn't come with batteries. The batteries were not included.
And I was like, okay, now I'm going to have to go get batteries for it. And I think this is why I was getting that message. This is the missing piece that I think is tying together, where you can order the thing, you think you have everything you need, and yet sometimes you just need the batteries, right? And so you can have the best intentions, but you might just need a little bit of support. So if there's something you've been avoiding, like asking for help with something, asking for somebody to give you the time to do something, whether it's somebody to watch your kids for an hour, having the time to eat properly, that's energy. Batteries are energy, right? It's like energy for something to function. And if you don't have batteries or don't we're like, oh, I just need new batteries. I am thinking on a literal level that I need to get rechargeable batteries. I keep meaning to, but then when I run out, I have to go get more and I always forget. And it's just a whole cycle. This is making a lot of sense for me in terms of some of the tools I was talking about for ADHD and how I have, my whiteboard and I have my timer and all of these things, which are great. But if I don't have the energy or the motivation, they're useless, right? And that's where I'm just starting my journey to figure out if medication is the right tool for me. And something that's more long term that can be built into my routine that gives me a consistent supply of energy. But it's the things that we know we need to do for ourselves. If exercising gives you energy and you know that, but you sit in your chair all day and you don't make time for it, then you're going to keep having these crash and burn cycles. You're going to end up getting to the point where, like me, it's an emergency and you have to run out to the dollar store or to the grocery store to buy batteries. Obviously, not all of us can do all of the things we'd like every day. But if it's a certain day every week, or you make sure that at least once a week you have that time for yourself, that could be what fills you up. Or if you need help to actually do the things, maybe you need an accountability buddy, something to remind you to turn on the device to actually put the batteries in. That might be where this message came from, because I was not thinking that this would be related to this episode. I just had jotted it down, but it does make a lot of sense now. I think that's where that foundation comes in too. It's important to think of those structures as well. And before you order something, maybe find out if batteries are included, right? Like before you set yourself up for something, look at the reality of it and see the batteries as something that you need to have before you put it out there. So make sure you have the booking system set up, or if it's a creative project, make sure you have all the materials with you, because there's nothing more frustrating than getting halfway through painting and realizing you're out of white paint, right? If you have the list in front of you and you look at the fine print before you get started, you're going to be a lot further ahead once you hop on that motorcycle and start moving forward. For me, this feels like a very chaotic set of information, but I'm sure it's just that there'll be the one nugget for each person when they're listening. I hope that some of this makes sense for you. And I will be doing the session tonight, the summer solstice recharge. And it's funny because I named it recharge before this batteries thing came up. So I don't know. I feel like this could be really good for boosting us. I have it set, hopefully, that you can still sign up right up until the time. But if not, send me a message and I'll make sure you get the energy. It's going to be a half-hour energy healing session. It's totally remote. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to log in anywhere. Once you're registered, I'll see your name there because I send the intention to anyone who is registered. That's where I send the energy to. And it's just an energy to exactly what it says, to recharge, to help you release any of that last stagnant stuff that's in your energy, help you to integrate, and then help you recharge for this next cycle. And I think it's very aptly named, considering I did not see this energy coming when I named it. And then afterwards, everyone who is registered is going to receive an email with a summary of what I received and sent during the session, as well as some journal prompts and then a creative prompt as well for anybody who wants to dive into that creative energy. And again, that came to me before I knew that the Empress was going to be coming up here. So I do feel like this session is built around supporting us going into Cancer season with this solstice energy. So I look forward to connecting with you all again soon, and I hope that Cancer season is off to a great start.
Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Spirit Crumbs. You can find me on Instagram for this podcast at Spirit Crumbs, or you can also find me at Concrete and Crystals for my own spiritual offerings and more tidbits about my own journey. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.